make it loud. Tonight with the light show that's going to happen.
Yes.
It's going to be super exciting. It hasn't set with me yet. I know I'm sitting in the press box, but I can't believe I'm about to watch live football already this year. I know we've been talking about it, but I guess I was just so busy at work today that I didn't mentally prepare myself, because now we're here and we're hours away from kickoff. And what's crazy about this week, me and you were just talking off air, you've got Cleveland Walker Valley, you've got Bradley McMinn, but then I just found out that Alcoa and Maryville play each other first Friday night of the year.
Think about this. You've got a lot of teams guaranteed to be 0-1 following the first weekend of football here in the great state of Tennessee. And, Maryville and Alcoa are two of the perennial powers. But, by the way, and I misspoke when I said that Walker Valley's playing Cleveland. Let me rephrase that. The 10th ranked Walker Valley Mustangs are playing Cleveland. Walker Valley, number 10 in the preseason poll. So, hey, high expectations for this Mustang football team.
Absolutely. That's something that Coach Akins has worked really hard at Walker Valley, building a program and building a culture. And, now other teams around the state are starting to see that. Year in and year out, they're in the playoff mix. There's been some up years and some down years, but for the most part, Coach Akins has had a really, really good program, and now we're about to start a new era at Cleveland High School. You've got a new coach in Coach Brown who's coming in and starting a new culture on his side, and it's just exciting to see these two teams go at it this early.
Yeah, it really is, and in a way, I wish that they could have opened up with some lesser opponents. Let's just be transparent here. I think it's always nice to have a lesser opponent to where you start at 1-0. You feel real good about yourself, and you all know this. One of the biggest improvements a football team makes between first game and the second game. So you want to be able to make a lot of mistakes, but come out with a W anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
But obviously that's not guaranteed. One of these two teams is going to come away with a win. The other one's going to come away with a loss. But both teams are going to make a lot of mistakes. We know that.
Yeah, for sure. In college football, you see it sometimes. You'll see like a Georgia Clemson kick off the year and like the Chick-fil-A kickoff, or you'll see a Tennessee Syracuse this year. Mm-hmm. You'll see an Alabama Florida State. But then the weeks after, they get a couple cupcakes on the schedule, and they get to kind of figure some things out, so that 0-1 is not that big of a deal. These teams in this county don't have that luxury.
No, and it's not their decision how they do this. Now, they want to play each other, but the state determines here's your region opponents, and here's when you're going to play those games. And you fill in the gaps with the non-region games. And it just happened to play out to where all the games that Cleveland, Bradley, Walker Valley wanted to play happened as the first year, yeah. And it is what it is, and we're going to live with it. But it is disappointing in a way. But in a way, I'm glad, because man, we're out here, and this is going to be an electric atmosphere out here tonight. You can already see people are pulling up. They're having tailgates out here. It's already starting, and here it is. It's just 5:05.
Yeah, that's something I love about Cleveland High School. We talked about it earlier on the drive. The thing that I feel like Cleveland does the best is they put on a show. They put on an atmosphere. There's going to be a pregame concert. There's going to be tailgating food sold. You're going to have the light show tonight. I don't know that there's a better atmosphere in our town than what Cleveland High School puts on. It's going to be exciting for us to kick off the year here.
By the way, have you seen the light show?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So if you haven't seen it, by the way, blue lights, red light, what Cleveland's colors, red, white, and blue, really. And it looks so cool. Now, I know I saw it on video. I'm sure in person it probably just kills it, but I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's really neat. We got to see it last year, and one thing that I love that maybe some listeners don't know, they light up the stadium the night before of the color. So if it's blue, it's a home game. If it's red, it's an away game. So they kind of let the town know, with it being with Cleveland being in the middle of town, you got people passing by it all the time. If you're passing by and you see a blue light on Thursday night, it means the Raiders are going to be home on Friday. If you pass by and it's red, it means they're on the road somewhere.
So I've done that. I've driven by here and I've seen it, and I had no idea.
Yep.
You've educated me. I knew there was a reason I showed up today. But man, we got a lot of stuff going on. Listen, we're going to be out here talking high school football, but there's some interesting stuff going on in college football. Urban Meyer, you're going to love it. I know where you're going to stand. Urban Meyer questions whether the NFL should suspend Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh over Michigan's sign-stealing scandal. I think you can make a case for it.
Yeah.
Because it's not like stuff like that hasn't been done before.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's my thing. Because it's football related, I think the NFL, if they wanted to, they could. Because it's a different governing body, it's like if you flee to Switzerland. Like, there's not really anything that they can do much about it. If you steal something here and you get over there and get away with it, it's not like there's much Switzerland's going to do about it. So I don't know. I don't know where I sit on that. Jim Harbaugh's a cheater, and every time he does something, he skips town. So I can say that much.
So let me tell you this. Okay, you remember when Ohio State was put on probation because of the tattoo gate?
Oh yeah.
Remember? And they were selling, their little trinkets and getting tattoos for them and everything else. So, Tressel lost his job over it. He was given some show cause by the NCAA. He ended up going to the Indianapolis Colts. He was going to do some work for them. He was suspended by Roger Goodell, who was the commissioner of the NFL then and is currently still the NFL commissioner. So he had to, the NFL said they were going to honor that suspension that he had from the NCAA. Now, granted, Jim Harbaugh wasn't suspended by the NCAA, but he was given a show cause, which to me is a little bit worse than a suspension. So it's interesting. There could be a little bit of a but the way they're doing it these days, a lot of things have changed, for crying out loud. I mean, we don't give teams nobody's banned from, postseason play. Everything's on the up and up. The only thing they do now is fine them a lot of money and give a coach a show cause. I don't know if the NFL is going to do anything or not.
I wouldn't hate if the NFL did, but I'll be honest with you. The only reason Urban Meyer even remembers who Jim Harbaugh is because he beat him down at Michigan so many times. Because here's the thing. Did you know Urban Meyer forgot or didn't know who Aaron Donald was when he was in the NFL? Had no idea who Aaron Donald was.
These college coaches are so focused on their world of their team, they're oblivious to so many things.
But here's another one. He forgot. A coach came over and shook his hand after a game and said, "Hey, how you doing, coach?" And he said, "Hey, it's nice to meet you. Do I know you?" And it was somebody that was on his staff previously.
Oh my gosh!
So again, Urban Meyer can say whatever he wants, but sometimes, was he a heck of a ball coach? Absolutely, but he's a head scratcher to me too.
I've seen head coaches, of other sports and football, whatever, baseball, you never name it, and they'll be asked something that's going on in the world, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Because
they're so into their practice and their preparation for whatever sport they're coaching that they shut out the world around them, and they are oblivious to so many things that we can look at our phones and we're like, oh my gosh, wow, there was something going on at UTC today. What's that? What's going on there? Well, it turned out it was nothing, but we know about that because we're paying attention. These coaches are so laser focused on their team and their opponents that they shut out everything else going on around them, which in a way I think that's kind of neat, but in a way I think it's kind of scary to think that you're that oblivious.
Yeah, I know. Every minute of every day for those guys is planned out, and they do. They even incorporate family time and stuff like that. That was one thing that I love to hear that Fran Brown said about Kirby Smart is he was a family man, and when he was with his family, you didn't bother him. All the other hours of the day were open. But they're so focused because every minute is scheduled, whether it's a recruit call, whether it's practice, whether it's a team meeting, that you're right. They don't have time to talk about other things.
No. Oh, and something else that happened today. I don't know if you saw this. Neyland Stadium, some of the things that are going to be going on at Neyland Stadium, new for 2025. You want to hear them?
Yeah,
have you seen them?
For sure. No, I haven't got to see
them yet. Okay. Entry into Gate 9 has doubled in size, and the Southwest Plaza has expanded to ease congestion. Fans will see larger new restrooms. That's going to be good. The restrooms at Neyland Stadium are ridiculous. Fans will discover this is cool, a vintage volunteer trailer behind Section M. The shop will offer vintage gear and unique items. That's a thing these days. Have you noticed that people wearing old, outdated logos, old-looking stuff? Are you into that kind of stuff, or you like the modern stuff?
I'm kind of modern. I do like the vintage look. Like, I really want a vintage Raiders gear. Like that, to me, sports gear is pretty cool vintage. Mm-hmm. But I'm not a guy that's gonna wear like a 1980s rock band T-shirt. Like that's not my style. But like an old school Raiders jacket or like an old school Georgia jacket.
Okay,
yeah, I
like
love
the
that.
Georgia that has the little hat on.
I like the standing dog.
You like the standing
I'm
dog? Okay.
I'm like the 60s standing dog.
Okay.
That's my logo.
Now, what about the oval G? Do you like that one better than those, or
No, this
you
is
like
gonna,
an actual dog logo?
Yeah, and this is going to pain people. I don't really love the face bulldog.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either.
Some people love it and
Yeah.
will fight you over it, but I'm just not a big fan of it.
Okay. Now, anyone out there that's planning on going to Neyland Stadium, let me give you some advice. You don't have to take a dollar bill with you, but you better take plastic. This year, Neyland Stadium going to cash. It's a cashless venue.
Wow.
Listen, Mercedes-Benz Stadium's been like that since they opened the doors.
Yeah.
That's becoming a thing, man.
Yeah.
What do you typically spend plastic or cash at a sporting event?
Plastic.
Do you?
To me, it's easy. Like for instance, I do think about losing my wallet. I think about that kind of stuff. If I lose cash, it's gone.
Yeah.
If I can't find my wallet, I can go on my phone and turn the card off. So.
Assuming you haven't lost the phone.
Exactly. Yeah. Normally it's just easier. I start fumbling through cash. I do like having cash on me because there's only certain things that only people will say, like, hey, we don't take cards, it's cash only. I am still old school in that sense. Like, I've got cash in my wallet right now. But for the most part, I like to be able to track my charges too. So I use plastic.
Now, for those of you that have had some frustrating days up Neyland Stadium and you can't get your Wi-Fi's not working, they say, this is Tennessee, straight from the University of Tennessee, Rocky Top Wi-Fi, Neyland Stadium's state-of-the-art Wi-Fi system is fully functional throughout the venue. Fans are encouraged to utilize the network and stay connected on their mobile devices during the game. Are you on your phone at a football game?
In between, yes. In between quarters, timeouts, I'll get on there. I like to check other scores. I like to know what else is going on in the country. Also, I do like the Wi-Fi, having access to it, because it's hard to get a text out sometimes, but if you have another iPhone user, if you're connected to Wi-Fi, it'll shoot through. Okay.
Now, for those of you that love the Pride of the Southland Band, here's the route this year. They've changed it up a little bit. The Pride of the Southland Band will come down Peyton Manning Pass this season for the band march. The Pride will no longer pass over the pedestrian bridge prior to entering Neyland Stadium, which I thought that was a cool look.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why they're doing away with that, but the salute to the hill will take place at the bottom of Peyton Manning Pass and Philip Fulmer Way. So that one I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
I think it was such the photos from there when the band would be going across that pedestrian bridge were really cool, and I don't know why they changed it, but that's not going to be the case no more.
Yeah. Do you think it's like a congestion traffic type thing?
I don't know. They don't say why. They just say that they're not going to. Now, I'm sure fans will be up there taking some photos from that vantage point, but interesting stuff there. That's pretty much the gist of it. But every year, they always do stuff like this. They'll throw out some, here are the changes and everything. And we all know that Neyland Stadium itself is still in the midst of a massive renovation. Listen, we know they've done some stuff here lately, but, man, they've got to do the inside, the guts of the stadium, what I call the bowels of the stadium, because it's so outdated. The restrooms are terrible there. That's the one thing. The concessions and restrooms, if they could modernize those, I think Neyland Stadium would be as nice of a venue that you could go to.
Yeah. I know other places are starting to really focus on the atmosphere of games, and so a lot of teams are starting with the suites and the boxes, and Tennessee has one of the coolest party decks. Like, I think that's awesome.
Is that where that new scoreboard is?
Yeah.
Up there in the north end zone.
They got a party deck up there, and I think that's a really neat add to your stadium. But a lot of these stadiums were built so long ago that, like, I was in Doak Campbell 2 years ago, and it's just rafters. Like, it's because they kept the metal bleachers.
Mm-hmm.
It's outdated.
Yep.
But, like, the outside of it looks awesome.
Oh, that brick facade around it.
It's one of the coolest stadiums I've ever been in. But then you talk about the bowels of it. Like, there's not really much they can do there. Like, there's not much you can add around Aluminum Stadium.
I saw some photos of Doak Campbell Stadium. They gutted, like, around from about the 30 to the 30. They gutted one sideline, and they put in chairback seats.
Yeah.
They're black though. I'm like, do y'all know how hot it gets down here?
Yeah.
But they're cushioned, okay. But I think the capacity went from like 77,000 to like 70,000. They're losing like 7,000. But that's the way people do it these days.
I know. I hate it.
They renovate these stadiums, but you lose all these seats because they want to put theater style seats in there instead of benches.
Yeah, and see, here's my thing. If you're going to a UT game, you know what to expect.
You know that you're going to be uncomfortable for 3 hours.
You're sitting next to a big, blue-collar,
hairy guy,
hard-working man who's going to do exactly what he's supposed to and stand the entire game and yell his absolute lungs off. That's how I feel about that. If you go to a Georgia game, I want to be on top of 93,000 of my closest friends. That's what I want. To me, this is kind of a selfish ambition. I wish they would close the top and add more seating to UGA. The demand's there. People would do it. I wish they would add seating all the way to where it meets around to the press box and almost look kind of like the shoe, how Ohio State, and add more fans to it.
They did seat 120,000.
Exactly. That's what give me 120,000 of my closest
and Georgia would
friends.
Fill it every Saturday.
Every single Saturday. And so, to me, I understand that teams want to create a better experience for people, but if you keep doing these things that are just going to drive ticket prices up, you're going to price out the blue-collar fan, and that's Tennessee, Georgia. That's their fan base. That's who they are.
Listen to this. Here's what Ohio State's getting ready to do. So the band has sat in the south stands, that end zone that's by itself that's not double-decked. They've been sitting there for about 30, 40 years. They're moving them to the other side because you know what they're going to do? They're not doing it this year. They're doing it after this season. They're going to put suites at the field level. I'm sorry. Those are the worst seats in the stadium.
Yeah.
Is on the field in the end zone. If they're not playing in that particular end zone, you can't see squat, especially on the other side of the field. And yet you see so many stadiums doing this. I think
Vegas.
But the AT&T Stadium in Dallas was the first one I ever saw that had suites at field level.
Yeah.
And they were behind the benches. You can't see the players are standing in your way.
Yeah.
And yet you're seeing more and more going on. I'm like, that's the biggest ripoff in all the sports.
Yeah, it's because people will pay for it. They're paying for an experience.
They get to be close to the players.
They're paying to say that they did it. And again, as a true college football fan, I'm going to sit here and say we have to think about this. Like, yes, you're making your stadium nicer. I get it. But if you have a bunch of suits sitting in the stands, suits are not the ones that are cheering.
No, but
they're not the ones that are yelling their lungs out for 4 quarters, and when they wake up the next morning at church, they can't ask for forgiveness because they have no voice.
But, these schools, they say, yeah, but they may not be yelling, but, boy, they write big checks.
Yeah.
And you know what they do? They go back underneath the stands and watch the game on big screens in air conditioning.
Yeah.
They're not actually physically sitting in those seats a lot of times during the actual game. Unless the game comes to that end zone, then they all clamor out and get out there. That's just the reality. Those are the big donors. Man, they can afford to do all that stuff, man. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more college football. We're also going to talk a lot about the Cleveland Walker Valley game that's going to be taking place here at Benny Monroe Stadium on the campus at Cleveland High School. You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. We'll be back after this.
Smoked sausage biscuit. Split Hillshire Farm smoked sausage on a made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuit. And our Frisco breakfast sandwich with cherrywood smoked bacon or ham on toasted sourdough. Hardees, goodness in the making. Download the app and join my rewards for special offers. Available for a limited time at participating restaurants.
When competition is fierce, sports injuries happen, and Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is here to help. Saturday sports clinics are available at our Chattanooga and Cleveland offices from August 23rd through November 8th for the treatment of non-emergency orthopedic injuries like sprains, strains, and fractures. Doors open at 9 a.m., no appointment needed to be seen by our highly trained physicians and clinical staff. Saturday sports clinic dates are subject to change. Check sportmed.com for the latest information. That's sportmed.com.
Get ready for the ESPN Cleveland 1013 College Football Kickoff, presented by USS. Saturday, August 30th, the Georgia Bulldogs take on Marshall to get the 2025 season officially underway. We'll have all the action on your home of the Dogs. ESPN Cleveland 1013. Plus, USS is giving away a college football kickoff prize pack. For all the details and your chance to register, visit ESPNCleveland1013.com. Get ready for the ESPN Cleveland 1013 College Football Kickoff, presented by USS. Saturday, August 30th, the Georgia Bulldogs take on Marshall to get the 2025 season officially underway. We'll have all the action on your home of the Dogs. ESPN Cleveland 1013. Plus, USS is giving away a college football kickoff prize pack. For all the details and your chance to register, visit myespncleveland1013.com. ESPN Cleveland 1013 is powered by Duracell.
Rock City and Ruby Falls are fun, but have you been down the Ocoee, camped at Harrison Bay, or on top of Fort Mountain? We are blessed with beautiful adventures all around us, and Honda Cleveland has the Honda to take you there. Hurry in for $5,000 off your choice of 25 Accord or CRV Hybrid. $5,000 off. Or choose 2.99% financing on Accord and CRV Hybrid. Either way, you'll see why KBB.com has named Honda America's best value brand. You can saddle up a new Ridgeline pickup too with financing as low as 0.99% for 60 months, and that'll save you hundreds in financing. Or if you need service, parts, and tires, at Honda Cleveland you can get the work done now and pay over time with up to 3 months interest-free, with no hard credit check and a 90% approval rate. You've got some exploring to do, and we've got your ticket to ride. Honda Cleveland, your car, your way, every day. I-75 exit 20, 1 mile east. Hope to see you soon.
Want to save on home and auto insurance? Call AAA in Cleveland today to see how much you could save. 423-458-1536. Same great coverage, new lower rates. AAA in Cleveland. 423-458-1536. Discounts and savings subject to eligibility. Personal lines insurance underwritten by Member Select Insurance Company.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Duracell is now hiring mechanical skilled technicians, $22 to $27 per hour. Hey, and they are offering a lot of benefits too: medical, dental, vision insurance, 401k, tuition reimbursement, and more. Go to Duracell.com. That's Duracell.com. And we are sitting in the press box at Benny Monroe Stadium here on the campus of Cleveland High School. There's something big going on tonight.
There is, but I want to pause for a second. Jim's not going to pat himself on the back, but I'm sure am. He just did that entire live read from memory. You want to talk about how many times we talk about Duracell, our good friends over at Duracell? He's got it memorized. So if you're looking for a job at Duracell, he can tell you exactly what you need at any point in time.
I just got to be a mechanical skill technician, and now I'm ready to go.
There you go. But yeah, there's something big happening in town tonight, and it's the Cleveland Blue Raiders against the Walker Valley Mustangs. The 10th ranked Walker Valley Mustangs here at Raider Field. I'm super excited to call the game tonight, Jim.
I am too. And by the way, I got to say something. When I got out here today, you know, and people don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I saw the Cleveland wrestling team running sprints up and down this field. And partner, it was hotter than you know what out here. There was not the cloud cover we got right now. It was hot. And those guys, one after another after another, they kept, and by the way, there's some girls on the team too, and they were doing it as well. And then when they got done sprinting on the field, then they ran up and down the bleachers here. I was wore out watching them. But man, my hat goes off to these athletes that play these sports. We don't see practices where all this stuff that happens goes on. We've all played sports, and you know we almost forget sometimes how grueling practice is.
Yeah.
Because all we watch after we get older out of the world of that part of of coaching is the games itself. The games look easy, and the games are easy compared to practice. But man, what a grueling practice the wrestling team went through today.
Yeah, it's funny. This was actually my topic at Bible study this morning. We were in James, and we were talking about what's a practice that you remember that was the hardest it ever was, or a game that was so hard. When you work out, you're tearing muscles, right?
Yes.
But when you grow, like when you rest, that grows back and you grow back stronger. These kids put in so much time across all athletics here in our town. It's something I'm really passionate about. I've got kids that I've coached that'll be sitting on the home side tonight, that will be sitting on the away side tonight, and that are waiting to play a game tomorrow.
Right.
I'm a Cleveland product that married a Bradley girl that teaches at a school that feeds to Walker Valley. I love our community. I love getting to call games. I love getting to spotlight athletes, and I love getting to watch them on Saturdays when they go on to the future. So football time is here. I'm super excited, and I can't wait to call a game tonight.
So tonight here's my little way I can connect all three schools. Calling a game tonight for Walker Valley. Got a lot of my friends, their kids go to Walker Valley. I went to Bradley. I graduated from Bradley. My brother played football at Cleveland. My sister went to Cleveland. My wife went to Cleveland. My daughter went to Cleveland and was a cheerleader. So I've been around Cleveland more than I have been around Bradley. But I see some of these kids. Listen, I know some of the kids on both teams. I know their moms and dads. And so there is a connection here, and it's really cool. It really is. And I know some people are diehard one way or the other. You may feel like that at some point, but man, if you ever get into a relationship with someone that was on the other side, it softens up. It really does. And then, like I said, I just hope for a good competitive game. I don't want to blow out either way.
Yeah.
First of all, it makes our job that much more difficult. A close, fun game, it's more exciting, more fun for us.
Absolutely. And, there's been some really good games against Cleveland and Walker Valley. There's been some exciting ones, and there's been some ones that are not so fun. I think that's something that last year Cleveland came out of the gates really, really fast, and then Walker Valley battles back and makes it a close game, and then Cleveland steps on the gas and goes away from it. And then you're sitting there for those last couple quarters, and you're sitting like, oh, this is hard to call. So I'm with you. I love a very competitive, close game, especially when it's in a town where everybody's so close and tight-knitted and cares about each other. Like you have your allegiances, don't get me wrong. You either wear black and gold, or you wear blue and red, or you're navy and gold. But at the end of the day, we all sit in church together. We all go on vacation together. We all go to do all these things together, and it's about the kids. That's, as a teacher, that's what softened my heart. Like I was a Cleveland kid. I got tossed out of the dome in a student section. I'm telling on myself. Autumn O'Brien gave me a 2-game suspension. I didn't do anything, but I was involved in a player falling into the student section. The guy beside me smacked him on the rear end, and the Ray County kid got real mad and turned around and shoved me. So me and another guy got tossed, and so like I bled blue, right? Like
right.
Donnie Yates used to look at me and say, we don't bleed purple, we bleed blue. And then I became a teacher, and I watched kids go all over the place.
Uh-huh.
And I thought to myself, like, yes, like what you had at your time at Cleveland was great, but like now, like your job is to love these student athletes and to encourage them and watch them go on to complete their dreams. So getting to call a game on Friday night, I feel like I get to do just that and promote these young athletes.
Yep, it is so fun. Like you said, as the older that you get, the more you become less entrenched in just one school, because you're going to have relationships with people that go to every high school here, So anyway, all right, I want to talk to you a little bit about this. The college football playoffs, of course, we had Rich Clark on, what was that, about a month and a half ago or something like that. We had him on. He is, he's over the CFP, and they have a new metric this year. It's called the tilted record strength. I think that's interesting because a lot of it has to do with not only wins and losses, but even a close loss is going to be graded higher now. And to me, that encourages quality scheduling. You can justify based on this. You can see a 9-3 team getting in over a 10-2 team. We didn't see that last year because they flat out. I don't care what anyone says. They flat out said, I don't think we can put a 9-3 team in over a 10-2 team. Now you can, and you can justify it.
Well, if the college football committee decides to use it. Because we talked to Rich Clark, and Rich Clark said, if you go win the games that you're supposed to and you're sitting there at the end of the season, you'll be in. So you could look at Indiana, and they won all the games they were supposed to, and then they lost the one game that they weren't favored in. And so they were pushed through. If you would take this into account, potentially they're not sitting there. I will say this. Let's just call a spade a spade. This is the SEC saying, hey, we're going to give you a metric to put more of our teams in.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, like,
that's true.
They're sitting here saying, we're the best conference in college football. We play harder schedules. We deserve it more than everybody else. And, I tend to be a little bit of an SEC homer down here in SEC country and think that we do play the toughest football schedules. But, I'm also not for them just shoving a metric in somebody's face and say, you should have to follow this because this is what's going to help us.
But they are. Apparently they're good. They are.
Yeah,
they bought into it. Let me ask you this. I saw this, and I guess I never really thought about this. Indiana last year, 11-1 in the regular season. How many games do you think they were favored in?
Prior to
week by week as the season went on.
As the season went on, maybe more, but to start, if you're talking about start the year, probably not.
Five or six.
Yeah.
I saw it varied. It depended on which service you're looking at. They were favored in either 8 or 9 games. So they still outperformed what even the experts thought even a week prior to that game. The lines come out, Monday or Tuesday or something. They adjust them throughout the week. But they were not favored in all the 11 games that they won.
Can I tell you something that's kind of odd to me? So we're talking about favored in games that we're favored in. If a poll comes out and Texas is the #1 team in the country, right, like they are.
Well, they are. Mm-hmm.
Then they're playing Ohio State, which is, I think, are they the 2 or the 3?
Well, they're 2 in the coaches poll. They're 3 in the writers poll.
Okay, so they're the 3, but Ohio State's favored in that game to win.
Yep.
Is Texas the #1 team in the country? You get 3 points for it being at home. That is a known fact that when you're looking at a line. There's 3 points that are given to you because it's home field advantage. After that, that's how many you're favored by.
Yeah, I saw this thing years ago. It was called the Gold Sheet. I don't even know if it's still around. I bet it still is. I used to get a PDF of it every week, but I had a little deal with this guy. He worked for the Gold Sheet. He sent it to me. I sent him something else. The Gold
Insider trading.
Well, the Gold Sheet, they actually have their top. They put their teams. They're not rankings. They're just the order of like a power rating. Totally different from the polls. Totally different from the pollsters. If Boise State could go 12-0, Boise State would not be in their top 25.
And that's kind of what that SEC metric is going to do. That's their hopes, is that a Boise State, and now again you're going to get the automatic bid for the group of 5, and that if you go 12-0, most likely that's going to be you. But that's kind of what that metric is doing, is saying, hey, if you're not playing very good teams but you win your 12 games, that matters less to us.
Yep. This Gold Sheet thing, they took the talent of the roster into account. How many future NFL guys are on this roster?
Yeah,
playing?
Like a blue chip rating.
Yeah, and they're going to give those guys just the benefit of the doubt, and rightly so, because more often not. Listen, a lot of times you'll see in a bowl game, let's say a 7-5 SEC team will be favored over a 10-2 team from the American Athletic Conference. They just will.
Yeah,
they just will. And why is that? Because they've got better athletes. They got more future pros on that roster than this 10-2 team from the American. I mean, let's say Memphis. Memphis is a really good American athletic team. That's one of the better ones out there. But how many teams in the SEC would be favored over Memphis on a neutral team, on a neutral field? 7, 8, 9, maybe 10?
I feel like all of them.
Vanderbilt, maybe. I mean, would Mississippi State? Mississippi State might. I mean, honestly.
I think all of them. I really do. I think they all would. You know, that's a great question to ask,
and that's how this gold sheet works.
Is there a calculator? Like, is there a website that you can go to and take the current information of a team and plug them in if they were to play on a neutral field, or is that just something the odds makers have?
You know, I don't know. Listen, those odds makers, they've got everything. They probably got all that stuff in some kind of a spreadsheet or some kind of a
at this
program.
Point, probably AI.
Yeah, and it would probably blow us away as how they do it. But, man, they are so accurate.
Yeah.
They are so accurate.
But at the end of the day, like, these SEC programs are pulling in better recruits, even in the lowly teams. They're pulling in better recruits than some of these mid-major type teams. But we were talking about recruits. Do you know why Rivals only puts 32 5-stars on the map?
Now, I've never known the reason why they put that number. Is there an actual?
Yeah, there's an actual reason. So how many picks are there in the NFL draft?
32.
So 5 stars are guys that they think will eventually become first-round draft picks.
Interesting. So let's say if the NFL were to expand to 34 teams, they'd probably add 2 more.
I bet you. Yeah.
I bet you back in the day, before the Texans were around, or some of these newer franchises, they probably only had 28 blue star or 5 stars, and I did not know that.
Yeah, at least that was what was told to me.
That makes sense.
It makes sense because when you're evaluating talent, the difference between a 4-star and a 5-star guy, like, that's pretty tangible. Like, this is a cat that we believe when he gets done with college that he's going to be a first-round draft pick.
I'll tell you what's really cool. If you ever pay attention to these rankings, there are guys that they're 5 stars right now. By the end of the season, they may drop to a 4, and they may be even a 3, and then other guys will elevate because it's a flowing thing. It's not set in stone. You can lose your status.
Yeah.
So if you're a 5-star in the summer, and you sign with, or you can verbally commit to Georgia, and then all of a sudden you have a really mediocre senior season, Georgia may say, why don't you go ahead and sign with Arkansas?
Yeah.
We'll let you go to Arkansas. That stuff happens.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, and there's also, they call it the Alabama, the Georgia, the Texas bump, when a 3-star commits to the University of Georgia, University of Alabama, some of these bigger programs.
Or they're being recruited by them.
Because they're being recruited by them. Normally, those 3 stars get bumped up to a 4-star. They'll be a low 4-star, but they get bumped up because they're sitting here thinking, all right, if Kirby Smart finds him valuable enough to offer him a scholarship, or if Nick Saban finds him valuable
Sweeney
enough. These guys, if they find him valuable enough, we must be missing something.
We must be missing something. And they probably are. Because I'm telling you, listen, we all know recruiting is an inexact science, but it's more exact now than it's ever been.
Yeah.
The recruiting, if you look at some of the guys that were considered 5 stars, like back in the early 1980s, half of them you're like, who? If you look at them now, you're like, yeah, they pretty much nailed it. It's much more accurate now because there's so much more video and film and all these camps that all these kids go to, they really do show how good they really are. Because you're going up against other blue chip guys.
Yeah.
You really are.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that has to do, and I think that has a way to make it more accurate.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's funny because sometimes we get so caught up into the star rating. Like, I think about Ladd McConkey, and this is going to sting for Tennessee fans. Ladd McConkey's dream school was the University of Tennessee. But he was a 2-3-star type guy because of his body build. But somebody called Kirby Smart and said, this kid right here is an absolute dog. He's one of the best players that I've ever coached. And so he turned on and looked on the film, and somebody decommitted from Georgia at the last second, and they called and they offered him a scholarship. And the kid, as a true rookie in the NFL, put over 1,000 yards. So we can put labels on athletes, but we have no idea. The same thing for me with the Tennessee quarterback. This kid could come light the world on fire this year.
You talk about Aguilar?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. We don't know.
Where he started at humble beginnings could be a path for him to showcase what he's developed into.
And we all know that some guys mature later in life.
Yeah. I feel that way about offensive linemen. I feel like there's a lot of offensive linemen that come from these small schools because they didn't have big name scholarships, but then they develop and get better.
I was going to use Stetson Bennett as a perfect example. I think this guy was a scrawny little skinny guy coming out of high school. He was one of those late bloomers, and he really built himself up. At the end of his senior season at Georgia, winning their second national championship, had there been a rating system, he's a 3 to 4 star guy at that point. Don't you agree?
At the end of
his career, I'll tell you, if you put stars on college quarterbacks.
Oh, he's a 4-star.
He was a 4-star minimum. The guy made it to the NFL. And listen, he's
lighting up preseason.
And they missed him. Sometimes it's hard to predict how guys will get bigger, stronger, faster after 19, 20 years old. Because most guys mature 16, 17, 18. Some guys 19, 20, 21. It happens. And when it happens to those guys, a lot of times they're like a shocker. You're like, I can't believe this guy. He was a late bloomer. It happens all the time.
Yeah. I genuinely, I feel like that with a lot of offensive linemen. Like when they turn on the offensive linemen, like you know how the NFL does, whatever. You'll hear Central Michigan. You'll hear all these Midwestern schools, and it's these big boys that are now studs at what they do, but it took them going through college, getting onto an NFL team, and then pushing through that and getting bigger, better, faster, stronger.
Yep. It is amazing. If you get in the right system and you just outwork the other guy, the world's the limit, Todd.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Let's go ahead and take another break. We are live here at Benny Monroe Stadium on the campus of Cleveland High School in anticipation of the Walker Valley Cleveland Blue Raiders game. You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. We'll be back.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Hardees is hiring. Join the Star Team. Flexible scheduling, daily pay, free meals, 20% family discount, plus paid vacation for part-time and full-time employees. Apply in-store or online at hardees.com today.
When competition is fierce, sports injuries happen, and Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is here to help. Saturday sports clinics are available at our Chattanooga and Cleveland offices from August 23rd through November 8th for the treatment of non-emergency orthopedic injuries like sprains, strains, and fractures. Doors open at 9 a.m., no appointment needed to be seen by our highly trained physicians and clinical staff. Saturday sports clinic dates are subject to change. Check sportmed.com for the latest information. That's sportmed.com.
Cleveland Tire Center, locally owned and operated for over 45 years. Cleveland Tire, your one-stop auto care shop in Cleveland. North Lee Highway, where the name says it all. City School Magazine 2025 High School Football Collectors Edition. Your inside look at 41 teams. Team profiles, coaches' comments, stats, schedules, rosters, and game day pictures. See legendary teams, football fanatic families, and a lot more. Look for the Golden Football. Win $500 for your school. $500 for your school. Purchase a copy from your school booster clubs. All proceeds go to schools. City School Magazine High School Football Collectors Edition. Don't miss it. Help support your school.
For a quarter of a century, Mix 1041 has been taking you out to the ball game.
Swanson to first. The Braves are world champions.
Since 2000, Mix 1041 has been the home of the Atlanta Braves, and we're celebrating by giving away tickets to Atlanta Braves games all summer long. Listen for your chance to call or text to qualify. You can also register at the Mix socials on Facebook and Instagram. Braves 25 is presented by Cleveland Ford. Honest people, honest deals.
Need a new shop, garage, or other unique space? Explore post-frame building kits from Best Buy Metals. Best Buy Metals kits utilize steel trusses for the ultimate in strength and durability. When you need it to last, call Best Buy Metals. Stop by or visit bestbuymetalroof.com for your custom structure.
Do your legs feel heavy, tired, or achy? Dr. James Gooden at Milligan Vein offers an office treatment that can make you look and feel better, and your procedure is covered by most insurance. Visit milliganvein.com or call Dr. Gooden today at 423-961-5682.
Get ready for the ESPN Cleveland 1013 College Football Kickoff, presented by USS. Saturday, August 30th, the Georgia Bulldogs take on Marshall to get the 2025 season officially underway. We'll have all the action on your home of the Dogs. ESPN Cleveland 1013. Plus, USS is giving away a college football kickoff prize pack. For all the details and your chance to register, visit ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Hey Cleveland, are you suffering from fatigue, low sex drive, or just not feeling like yourself? Optimize You is the answer that you have been looking for. Our team is here to listen and help you become the best version of yourself again. So find us online at OptimizeYouCenters.com. That's OptimizeYouCenters.com.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Welcome back to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. I hope everyone out there is having a good Thursday. It is a beautiful day. The fans are starting to show up here at Benny Monroe Stadium on the campus of Cleveland High School in anticipation of game number 1 for Walker Valley and Cleveland. And Cleveland's out there. A few of the players are out there doing some warm-ups. Cleveland wearing their all blue uniforms, blue pants, blue jerseys with the white helmets. What's your opinion about the white helmets, Jacob?
I like them.
You like them better than the blue ones?
Yeah, I like. Here's the thing. Something I like about Walker Valley is they have the caps that you can throw over them, so they'll go white for a while, and then they'll be able to throw the navy. I love being able to mix uniforms up, doing a little bit of both. So, I love the whites, especially when it's all white. The thing that I love about Cleveland's uniform the most is they kind of went to that Dallas script. Who am I trying to think of? The Texas
you talk about SMU.
SMU, there we go.
SMU.
Yeah. The SMU style look.
Yep.
I think even their off the field clothing just looks so clean.
And I gotta say something. My favorite color in the entire world is royal blue. I love it. I think it's perfect. I love that color. I think it's gorgeous. So royal blue is my favorite color. So Cleveland's wearing the royal blue uniforms. They're so classy looking.
Yeah, so me too. Growing up, I always used to try to be like, my favorite colors are red and black. Just being like a Georgia fan. But really, truly, my favorite color was this blue right here. But then it's kind of adopted as well. You've seen it in my color wheel.
Yep.
I love baby blue now too. I think baby blue uniforms look
Walker Valley
sharp.
is going to do a little bit of that this year.
Yeah, that got leaked. We asked Coach Akins about that the other day. Kind of got out there on the social medias.
Well, look at this fan walking in right there. Look at all the powder blue on all these fans for Walker Valley that's coming. I'm telling you, it's a thing, man.
I wore that exact hoodie 2 days ago.
Yeah, you did.
So it's exciting. I love high school football, and really something that our town goes above and beyond in is looking sharp and doing things sharp. Every little detail about everything, and I would be hard pressed to find better dressed football players than the 3 schools around us.
And I'll tell you, and I know this is a free plug for one of our sponsors, but Express Athletics, they've got some really nice gear down there. You can go down there and buy stuff for Bradley, Cleveland, Walker Valley. They've got a lot of really good stuff up there. And of course, the schools themselves, they sell it as well, the Booster Club. So we encourage you to, support your team.
Yeah, for sure.
Buy some gear. It's just not that expensive, and it's usually you feel good when I love putting on the gear of my favorite school. I do. So I'm excited, man. Listen, the fans are starting to show up. You got some tailgating going over there at Cleveland High School. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I'm excited.
Can I tell you something I'm excited about? Normally, and I hope it still rings true. Normally, every Friday night here at Cleveland High School, people think it's the chocolate. It's not the chocolate smell that comes from M&M Mars. It's the cookies.
It is the cookies.
They're making the cookies.
The Twix.
And when I smell that, that is what football is to me. Growing up, when I would come here as a kid, when I was on the football field, when I was in the stands, growing up, smelling that smell was Friday night football to me. And still, when I get to come over here and call games, it's like I love it. And then when I pass by in town, I'm like, oh man, I miss Friday night footballs. I miss Friday night football, and we're here. So I hope they let the vents go. Hope they give us a good little smell tonight. Much better than chicken coops at some places you go.
Oh gosh, could you? Listen, you've been to Finley Stadium.
Yep.
You know where I'm talking. There's a chicken processing plant just around the corner.
Yep.
And every now and then the wind will blow the wrong way. Listen, I grew up at a time here in Bradley County where Bowater used to have some interesting smells coming from there. And partner, it would go all the way down to South Bradley County.
Oh, yeah.
So here in this area, there were times where you're like, whoo, Bowater's producing some paper today.
Well, that's when the unfortunate nights happen, when you got the Bowater smell with the cookie. you got a little bit of both.
I can't remember the last time I smelled Bowater.
Well, it's shut down.
Or Resolute or whatever they're
it's shut
called.
down now.
That's true.
They still operate up there, just in a different capacity, in a smaller capacity. But my dad worked at Bowater's for 40 something years.
I forgot that. Yeah.
Retired from there, and so I'm all too familiar with that smell. Surprisingly enough, for the listeners that don't know, we'll get off the smells and get back to sports. But
it smells like football.
Inside the plant, it smells like wood chips. You don't get that smell outside the plant.
Isn't that funny? I have this thing about printing companies. You walk into a printing company and that smell of the ink, I love it. There's certain smells and aromas out there that some are offensive, some are like, ooh, I like that.
Yep.
And it is what it is.
Here at Cleveland High School, M&M Mars, saw it flashing above the screen. To me, that means it's football time, and the Raiders are out here. Special teams are getting their stuff together. The cheerleaders are on the field. And I don't know if you can see across the field, Jen, there where it says Raiders, those artificial noisemakers, those trash cans.
Yes.
They got you can slap on the side. They've got them geared up and ready to go.
I wonder if I'll bring that up even once today. I haven't decided. It just depends. I guess I don't know yet. Depends on how loud the band is.
Yep, we'll see.
I made a fool of myself, but that's me on a fairly regular basis. I can't help it. But man, it is exciting, and the closer we get to game time, the more exciting I'm I'm getting, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hey, we talked about M&M Mars. Now we got to throw some love over to our friends at Mayfield Dairy, sponsor of the Braves. Super excited to recap that for a second, because the Braves are kind of hot.
They are, man. They listen, another one-run win last night, a 1-0 over Chicago. Of course, the day before, they overcame a 10-4 deficit and beat the White Sox 11-10. And then last night, they get a terrific pitching performance. They come away with a 1-0 win. And the Braves take 2 out of 3 over Chicago. They're off today. And, tell you, the Braves are playing. Listen, the Braves are playing what we thought they were going to be doing all season long. They're just doing it now. And there's less than 40 games to go in a season. The odds of them making the postseason are still very, very slim. But it's not impossible.
Yeah, at least
a lot of things have got to happen for them. Other teams ahead of them have got to have some stinker weeks. But we'll see. It could happen.
Yeah, at least we're playing competitive baseball again. That's something that, as a fan, when you're watching, you just want there to be competitive baseball. We may be out of the hunt, but there's a chance to be in the conversation at least, and that brings some excitement. You've got New York coming to town, you got the Mets coming to town, and we know that they're kind of struggling as well.
The Mets are a game ahead of Cincinnati for that last wild card spot. So the Reds and the Mets, they both won the same number of games. It's just the Reds have played 2 extra games and they've lost both of them. So
and the Braves get a night of rest. The Mets are currently playing. They're down. Right. They're down 4-3 against the Nationals in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Nationals won the night before, and then the Mets won 8-1 to start that series off.
Yeah, on Tuesday. So the Mets and the Nationals are going on right now, and then New York's coming to Atlanta. The Braves having 1 extra day to prepare for them. So hopefully the Braves will play how they have been playing, and hopefully the Mets will continue to play how they've been playing. Because I'm telling you, they've spent, and I don't know where the Mets stand as far as total salary. Or they're 1 or 2. They're either 1 or 2. I think the Dodgers are up there. The Mets are up there. We know the Yankees and the Red Sox are up there too. But man, if they don't make the postseason at all, that would be. I can imagine what it'd be like being on in the media up in New York and having to talk about that team. Woo!
Hey, Flushing is not the only thing that.
Flushing.
Yeah, I got to throw that out there for Andy.
See, I call it Queens. You call it Flushing.
Rest in peace, my brother Andy. He'll be back with us next week.
He's not dead, ladies and gentlemen.
But Flushing, they may be flushing the season down the toilet. So we'll see.
They do this year after year after year, and it doesn't matter. The roster changes over. For whatever reason, that franchise seems to do this every August/September. And they're doing it again. I mean, it's just like you can predict it, and it doesn't matter. If the entire Los Angeles Dodgers changed uniforms and put on Mets uniforms, they'd probably be in a slump right now. There's something about that franchise, I don't know what it is about. They do this year after year after year. I can't imagine how frustrating it's got to be a Mets fan.
Yeah, and I believe the Braves have already secured the season series. And
I think they're up 9-4 right now, and
yeah.
I think there's only 4 games left.
Yeah.
So they can't overcome that lead that the Braves have got. But no, it's a baffling thing because they've got a lot of talent. The Mets have got a great lineup when you look at them, and for whatever reason, they just find way to blow it against inferior competition. Now, you watch this. When they play the Braves, they'll play much better. But when they play teams like the Nationals and other lesser teams, they play down to that competition. And that's got to be frustrating as a Mets fan, for sure.
For sure. But, well, hey, we're a few minutes outside of some coverage for some high school football. There's PA announcements going on. The Raiders have just taken the field, waiting for the Walker Valley Mustangs to come out here. We've got you covered, though. You can hear us on ESPN Cleveland tonight. We're going to be on Oldies and ESPN Cleveland with the Walker Valley coverage. Or, Mix 104.1 is the home of the Cleveland Raiders, and you can hear Terry and Phillips over there.
And Mix TV, you got we're televised, so you got everywhere that has WCLE on the logo. We're covering the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to do it again tomorrow. Normally a Thursday is going to be a Bradley day. So for our fans that were tuning in and waiting to hear Coach Floyd, he had some things that he had to do this afternoon and take care of. Yep. So we will make sure to get him on next week to recap the Bradley-McMinn game, the second oldest rivalry in the state of Tennessee. Yep. Super excited. Me and you will be over there for I think a short drive tomorrow.
Tomorrow, that's true. I think about a 30 to 40-minute drive tomorrow.
We're taking a detour. That's right. We're gonna swerve off.
We'll play on words
a little bit, but then we'll be over there for the coverage of that game as well. You'll be able to listen to Gary and Ricky Talent on this station here on ESPN Cleveland, and then again, we'll have you fully covered with ESPN and Mix TV.
Yep, absolutely, man. So it's all high school football for the next 2 days here on the family of networks of WCLE. Hey, listen, we got to get out of here a little early today because we've got a pregame show that we're getting ready to go to. So they asked us to wrap it up a little earlier than normal. But I'll tell you what, make sure you tune in tomorrow because we've got a big announcement. I don't know, you don't even know the announcement, do you?
Yeah, I don't.
We got a big announcement. We're going to talk about that on the drive tomorrow. So you make sure you tune in. You have been listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. I hope everyone has a great day and get out here and support this high school football. See you tomorrow.
Now at Hardee's, 2 hand-breaded chicken tender wraps are only $5. Mix and match your